Hello, Jean-Francois. Jeff Allen here. I just saw your post about the idea of having simple rules to get the most out of your terminology with regard to neural machine translation systems like Sistran and Sistran is a user dictionary system and even Microsoft Translator and DeepL and the glossaries. And I was reading through this thing. Boy, this is what I've been saying too for a long time. In a lot of internal conferences, internal workshops, even where I work now at SAP, where I've been for about 14 years, but the past 8 years actually working on different aspects of language and translation systems and speech systems, including in MT and even statistical and other things before that. And it was funny that you said you add nominal groups, add only the noun groups, and adding any other part of speech is risky. And it's funny that I did a number of publications back in the early 2000s. Sorry, I got some people down at the end of the restaurant kind of singing, but I'll try to talk louder, right? um, but I've got a bunch of publications where I actually did this, right? I actually indicated this and how and why and the number of entries that were needed to be able to do this. And we'll address this, and I'll address this in point 3 as well. But this was the noun groups suffice. This is the key thing, right? This is the key problem is noun groups. And then you get to the point of adding only the expressions contain 2 or more words. Don't add for one word. And this is so funny. Just this past year, I was saying the exact same thing inside in some of our terminology discussions about machine translation and actually for subtitling. I've worked on a lot of speech to text in the past 4 years, and this is the issue. This is the issue. This is clearly and why I improved our speech to text system for all of our internal videos. Now we're talking 35,000 videos that are uploaded per year to this platform internally. But I improved it by 82% based on 500 keywords. 82% of those for those 500 keywords. They're all nouns. Well, the majority of them were very specific nouns and specifically noun groups, and whether they person, places, or things. I mean, if I want to simplify it, right? So this is, I got 80% improvement, 82% improvement on those for speech systems. Okay, so this is not even text. I mean, it is text, but it's speech to text, and so there's the issues are recognized in the speech, right? Noun groups, noun groups, noun groups, noun groups, and this is some AI developed third-party tool. The third one you said, don't fix something that's already good, and I just wanted for point 2. I had mentioned specifically in our terminology database. And I'm going to be very careful not saying anything that I should not be saying about internal things, but the whole thing is we want to figure out what our most where we have quality issues is just let's pull up not the single word terms, but all the 2 and 3 word terms and beyond. How many of them do we have? And then what is the frequency of these things, and what is the differences in cases of maybe doubles and triples and all this kind of stuff, right? This is key work, right? This is key work. So I'm just confirming everything you're saying here, right? And having done this too, a lot on a lot of different systems I've worked on. I've worked on a lot of different machine translation systems for 3 decades. So I keep seeing this over and over again, and I don't care if it's rule based. I don't care if it's knowledge based. I don't care if it's statistics. I don't care if it's neural. All my tests and everything I've done, it's always the noun groups that cause the majority of the problems. The 80%, right? It's the Pareto principle here, and I think it's higher than 80%. Then point 3, don't fix something if that's already good. This is exactly what I said in the 2006 paper, which was actually the paper on user dictionaries and stuff. that I did not even do the post editing phase on because that would be a whole nother additional project. But that was actually the basis of a certificate, a training certification that I actually got from ProMT. That paper or that report, a paper. That actually did a project, and I got the certification based on that project. It was all about user dictionaries and about optimizing them and not doing too much, not over optimizing, because over optimizing, creating entries that would duplicate what was already good would not be needed. So I basically removed 1/3 of the entries that would potentially be candidates to be put in the system because it was already fine. So this is really key. And it can create bad stuff because then you'd have to retest it. Where it's always working, right? It's always making the grammar rules and all that, and that's that was compared in a rule-based system, but it was already doing fine. So don't pollute it worse, anymore. And so, and I really agree. The last one is probably the most challenging, and I do agree. And it took me a long time to figure out how to optimize this in a way that would not degrade the system quality. It would keep it at a level that is acceptable and would not create other kind of deviant byproduct terms or byproduct translations that we don't want, right? So this is all I can do is say, yeah, I applaud you for that because we're finding many other places too, and other organizations and other companies or governments or whatever. The noun groups are key, and this is always the thing to tackle. And I have seen so many people in having service, having worked for companies that service other companies and provide these solutions for others. I've seen so many people create so many redundant entries that were not needed. Um, and even in my doctoral work, I found it when I was analyzing data from third parties. I don't want to mention what they were, but you can find them if you see my other videos. So there's all that. And if you want to see more about what I talked about, that 82% improvement, I did a video up on my YouTube channel. Just search on something like the captions or subtitles. I've did a video or two about that. So I've talked a bit more about the details of that to a certain extent that I'm allowed to talk to it and address it. So thank you very much, and thanks for the post. And linguistic analysis is here to stay, even with statistical and neural based stuff. It's until we are able to tackle this beast better. I mean, we need to do some kind of linguistic processing. It doesn't matter where, how, when, before, after, during. It needs to be done to a certain extent, especially with all the large language models and all the guessing that these systems are doing through their algorithms. There needs to be some type of linguistic input or analysis or processing. What do you want to call this? I don't want to get into the details of the differences of those, but thanks so much for your post.